Sunday, national televised on ABC. The battle for the MVP, as you want to put it. And unfortunately, the Thunder put the belt to ass. They won by 22 points or 24 points, 127-103.
Yeah. They really pulled away in the fourth.
They really pulled away in the fourth. Jokic was hot to start the game.
Yeah.
And then Hartenstein kind of threw him to the ground. Jokic landed right on his elbow, right on his shooting elbow, and he missed like 7 straight shots afterwards, kind of lost touch throughout the game.
Wow, Hartenstein, dirty player? Question mark.
I mean, they're former teammates, so I don't think he meant it.
Right.
Yeah.
But, and then Aaron Gordon left early on in the first quarter, re-injuring the same calf as he did for the 3rd time this season, and he's missing tonight's game. So really just unlucky for Denver. Denver also missed 9 free throws as a team. Jokic missed 3 of them. And then SGA had a masterclass of a game in the fourth quarter, finished with 48-5 with 3 blocks.
Holy crap.
2 of 11 from 3, though. We're not going to let that slide. But
Did he seal the MVP with that?
based on, to me, no. But obviously, for the media's sake, absolutely.
I think a lot of it depends on what happens tonight as well.
Not really, because SGA got 40, and, no one's going to care what happens tonight. We literally saw Stephen A. on national television yesterday say, I don't care what Jokic does. He already made up his mind. That's why him and Kendrick Perkins are getting a lot of hate in the media, and rightfully so, because you can't really be you can't be this sort of biased on national television trying to sway people's votes.
Exactly. I mean, I understand the case for both of them. They're both having exceptional seasons. But the things that SGA is doing, we've seen from various different point guards in the past.
We haven't actually.
In regards to points and assists, or
Just
like...
in regards to his efficiency, because I have SGA's advanced metrics here. So this season, he's obviously averaging 33 points. He's, I think, leading the league in scoring, or at least neck and neck with Giannis. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals and a block. He's shooting 53 from the field. His true shooting is at 64%, which is nuts for a guard. I mean, usually guards are kind of in the lower, even 60s, kind of like around where they should be. And he's averaging 2.5 turnovers on 35% usage.
That's good.
So he's his efficiency numbers are through the roof. But really, what's pushing SGA over the edge is his defensive game, because he's a lock for all defense, no doubt. He's currently he's first in blocks among guards. He's second in the league in steals per game. He's third in the league on loose balls recovered and in deflections, which are 2 underrated stats. He has the highest forced turnover percentage in both the pick and roll and in isolation.
Wow.
So
he's very impressive.
And he's also leading the league in effective plus or estimated plus minus and defensive estimated plus minus.
All right, man. He's got my vote.
And, OKC, youngest team in the league. They're 16-2 since February 1st. They're 7-2 versus the top 5 teams in the NBA. I do still think Jokic deserves it because he's doing a lot more than less, but SGA is way more deserving than Embiid was in 2023.
Yes.
Wow.
I agree with that.
SGA gets it.
It's just I don't like that when I guess Stephen A. says that Jokic doing what he does is just not a care to anybody, and people should understand that what Jokic is doing is really hard in the NBA, and not everybody reaches to that certain point at all in their career.
Right.
So Stephen A. should definitely take that statement back and say, I'll watch what Jokic is doing, but still be SGA, or give it until the end of the regular season and see how each team goes into the playoffs, because the playoffs don't include the MVP winners.
Right.
But it should be fairly close, not like what Stephen A. Smith is saying.
But that's the problem. It's not going to be close.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't think TV personalities like this should have votes. I think it's almost irrelevant, because they place their own agendas with these votes based on the track record of obviously Kendrick Perkins turning into a race war, and obviously Stephen A. being xenophobic. He's got a track record of doing this. It was doomed from the start for Jokic.
Well, SGA is Canadian, so you can't really bring that argument here.
But like I said, someone made this point on Twitter. It was very compelling, saying Stephen A. will automatically go for an American, and if there's no Americans available, he goes for the African-American player.
Yeah.
And that's what SGA was. That's what Joel Embiid was. So that's why do you think that Stephen A. didn't even show Luka Doncic love? Because he had a much better case last year than SGA for MVP.
I wouldn't say much. It was actually close.
I think
Luka's second half push, because the last 2 months are really important in the MVP race.
Right.
And Luka's last 2 months were outstanding.
Right.
I think he was averaging 34, 10 and 10. It was something.
Yeah, but they were also the 6th seed or something like that.
But they had rose up from the 11 seed all the way up to 4.
4.
So
Okay.
yeah, they did really well. So
I mean, I think Stephen A. is following that same footstep as Kendrick. But I guess Kendrick's the one giving Jokic his props, I guess being a fellow center himself. But, at least there's some debate with that. But it just, these guys are two of the best. They should be interlocks for MVP and fight it out to the end. Whoever gets the most votes, it's going to be close, should be close, but we'll have to see.
It should be, but I don't know.
I think it'll be like 60-30.
Yeah.
Like 66-33,
Obviously, we just talked about SGA pretty much wrapping up the MVP debate for the media, not for us, because we still think it's Jokic, aside from maybe you, Gio.
Yeah.
But Jokic said, hold on, boys, I'm not done yet. Because the Nuggets absolutely put a beat down on the OKC Thunder yesterday. Mm-hmm. I believe it was 140 to 138. Let me actually
127.
127. Now,
how are they scoring that many points?
Well, the Nuggets had one of their best shooting games of all time. It was like their best shooting game since like the 1990s.
Wow.
Or like the 1980s.
Okay.
Nikola Jokic in that game had 35 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 assists. He was just outstanding on both ends. The Nuggets went 7 of 7 in their first 7 threes in the fourth quarter.
Oh,
and just went on an absolute tear throughout the rest of the game.
Well, that's how you win.
Exactly. And this was a statement game because, we all assumed that this was it, that the Thunder were probably going to win again, and SGA was going to win the MVP.
Wow.
But now...
Because they were winning, right, when the last time we checked?
They were.
They made 18 threes.
Who, Denver?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So SGA finished with like 26 points. So it's really close, to be honest, because they've both put the beat down on each other twice. And the other games, they just haven't played good. Like Jokic had a 16, 10, and 10 triple-double in their first meeting on opening day. Then SGA got blocked on a game-winning attempt in the second game. We saw what happened in the game we just talked about. And then the most recent game, SGA just did not really have all the pieces together. And Nikola Jokic had a 15 of 20 shooting night. It was outstanding on all ends for him. So yeah, guys, what are did this change the MVP debates for y'all?
Oof. I mean, for me, it's still Jokic.
Yeah.
I think just because looking at the box score, comparing the benches for both teams, obviously Denver is lacking in every vicinity bench-wise, besides like Payne Watson.
And Russell Westbrook.
Russ is starting.
He started that game.
SGA has five formidable bench guys that are really like notable.
Solid bench pieces.
Compared to Jokic. And I think Jokic is doing a lot more compared to SGA.
Right, and we talked about that yesterday with regard to the help and all that stuff. And it's crazy how even these two games were, because obviously SGA went off for 40 on Sunday. Jokic went off for 35 and 18 last night. They both had mid-20-point games, and they both lost a fellow starter around them. Aaron Gordon left in the first quarter. I think Jalen Williams left right before halftime with a hip injury. But at the end of the day, it's just like Jokic is doing more with less. And look, I know SGA is averaging more points. He's averaging 33, 5, and 6, like we had mentioned previously. But Nikola Jokic is averaging 29 points, 13 rebounds, 10.5 assists. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I understand most casual NBA fans, or at least the media, has a points per game kink where that rules overall. But like, I would much rather have an extra 8 rebounds and an extra 5 assists than an extra 3 points. That's just me personally. I don't know if y'all feel any different. Jokic is also shooting way more efficiently from the field, but obviously he's a center. But he's shooting 43% from behind the arc.
Yeah, listen, like when I look at MVP, MVP stands for most valuable player. So when we define value for an NBA player, does the NBA have a stat like WAR for baseball?
Not really, no.
Okay, because WAR would be so beneficial in the NBA.
Tell us what that means, WAR.
WAR is wins above replacement.
Got it.
Yeah.
Basically, every player in baseball has a WAR number, and the higher your WAR is, the better you are.
I mean, there's advanced stats that help, like box plus minus, value over replacement. I think it's like player or something like that. VORP is what it's called, but a lot of casual fans don't care about the advanced metrics, but at the end of the day, they mean a lot.
Yeah.
And SGA does lead the league in some advanced metrics, like we had just talked about. But Nikola Jokic is having, I think, the best statistical season as far as box plus minus goes. Yeah. I think he has I think he's like 5 of the top 10 best seasons regarding that metric in NBA history. And he's outperforming all of his seasons this year. And he interviewed after the game. He didn't really make a case for himself, but he just said, I think I'm playing my best basketball. So if that's enough, that's fine. If not, SGA deserves it.
He said that?
So, yeah. And he said that every year regarding the MVP. He don't care, but I think he would like to have another one.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I think people like to make themselves think they don't care about it, but they do deep down. They want that MVP.
Yeah. I mean, we saw him talk about it with the first MVP because one of his trainers, Felipe, said, you can get this. And he did. But I think seeing what Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith have been doing, you just kind of lose interest because it's like, what's the point? It's all just negativity. It's a clown show. That's kind of what it is, right?
I wouldn't say they lose interest because of what people are saying. People are always going to say what they're going to say.
Right.
Like you're going to have haters whether you're SGA, whether you're Jokic, right?
It's just
you're
so
still going
toxic,
to do you.
though.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't the whole debate thing just so toxic that
it's just to stir the pot?
Right.
That's literally all they're getting at.
I mean, it's all toxic. I don't think Jokic is a victim of toxicity because he's Jokic. I think every star in the NBA has some toxicity coming at them from the media.
Right.
That's what I think.
It's just strange how the biggest names that have votes have never voted for him for MVP. That's always been the perplexing thing about it.
Pretty sure Perkins did the first year.
Never did. Both of them never did. It was.
I thought Perkins was a big Jokic guy.
No, he's not. He
was.
I don't know if he may have been previously, but from what I remember, he voted for SGA last year. Okay. He voted for Giannis in 2023 because obviously he didn't vote for Embiid. Remember, he switched the narrative and then voted for Giannis to get off his back. Then he voted for Embiid in 2022 and 2021.
Right.
So, or at least he voted for either Embiid or Steph Curry. He was trying to make an argument for Chris Paul in 2021 to win MVP.
That's just Perkins, man.
But at the end of the day, those are the most popular people on television that have votes. At the end of the day, they're essentially trying to guilt trip these voters into voting for someone else. And they've done it. This is the 5th year in a row now.
How much influence do you think Kendrick Perkins has on the rest of the voters? I don't think this much.
Well,
I think everyone's going to vote for who they're going to vote for.
In 2023, he had a significant swing because of the race card.
Okay.
Where he called voters racist, and the polls completely swung. It flipped around completely.
That is ridiculous.
Right. That was
Number one. Number two, I don't think that's going to happen again.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think it's close because there's really not a good third candidate. I mean, Giannis, Tatum, like they could have a case, but they're nowhere near these two.
Yeah.